Alright guys, Chandler back again with an amazing video just talking about your core manufacturing line. We built this not too long ago and I just want to show you guys how to really utilize it and understand it and how it should work, right? So you see these arrows, it says you're going in a certain direction, right? So not only do we want to think of this in like a flow, we also want to think of this in a funnel. So think of it as a funnel. So what's our top? Our top is our inputs. And what does this really mean? Like, again, a funnel just takes something and makes it into something on the outside. Think of like oil, it spits out oil, but in a smaller stream. So anyways, we got inputs here. Next up, we got leads. And next up, we got appointments. Next up, we got contracts. Next up, we got deals. And then deals spit out money. Revenue. So, and then all of this, of course, as we always must remember, has expenses. Never forget the expenses, because it's in every pot. I don't know why I did a British accent, but I did. All right, so what we got going on next up here is so you see how this gets smaller and smaller and smaller, right? Because you're converting less and less and less. So one of the things you can really do is you can take your inputs and think of if we can make the top of the funnel bigger, right? So to get more out of the bottom, you can't make the bottom bigger. It's not gonna really have that big of an effect, right? Now we can keep everything the same. That means conversions, right? So we can convert leads to appointments at, let's just say 20% of leads turn into appointments. Appointments to contracts, just say 20% convert. And then contracts to deals, let's just say 80% convert, right? And then let's say out of inputs, let's just say 1% of inputs turn into leads, because that's like a pretty standard number, pretty basic number. Okay, so we have this entire funnel with the conversion rates from, again, this is inputs to lead, this is lead to appointment, this is appointment to contract, and this is contract to deal. And let's just say our, again, just throw it in there, our average customer is worth $20,000. That's our average customer. It's our average deal size, and it spits out every single time we get a deal, poops out 20K. So boom, here we go. So since we're doing the 1% rule, I just pulled out my old man calculator. Let's just say we start with, I'm trying to think of, I want to get 1,000 leads in here. So let me just divide 1,000, 100K. Again, this is a math class here. So 100K inputs gets us 1,000 leads. Now, how many does 20% of 1,000, that's 200. What is 20% of 200? Oh shoot, that's 40. And then what is 80% of 40? Plus 32. Beautiful 3, beautiful. So 32, and then 32 times 20 is 640K. So we get 640 smackaroonies. So 640 smackaroonies for 100,000 inputs. Let's say your input, I mean it's data, so let's say 100,000 times 10 cents. More than likely your inputs, your marketing costs 20% of your revenue, so 128. So 128K, because that's 20% of 640, that's a pretty standard amount. That's getting a 5x return on every single marketing dollar you spend. That's pretty standard, right? That's what we call industry standard. So boom, we spend 128, that's my expense number, my beautiful expense number. So spend 128K, get 640. So let's see what happens if we're able to increase just a little bit on each one, right? So let's say that I'm able to do to 2%, and it's a big increase. 1%, 2%. But let's say somehow in some world I was able to do it. Let me just say equals to 2%. Equals to 2%. Say in a world I was able to do that. So out of this 100K, I now have 2,000. Out of this 2,000, I now have 400. Out of this 400, I now have 80. Out of this 80, I now have 64. I could have just doubled it. I'm stupid. 64. And then out of this 64, double that, that's 12. So that's 1.28 by doing that. Now that doesn't sound like a lot, but this is not easy to do. Again, but it could be from anything, right? If you're able to do that, then that could happen. Now let's say you do everything at one time. So again, let's be realistic here. 2% is probably not that realistic for something you're gonna do. And this is, I'll have to change all these numbers. But again, you're making 1.28 million off that. That's a 10x return on your marketing. That's spectacular. So yeah, I'd spend more money if you're doing that. But let's just say this goes to like, I'm gonna say 1.1% because 2% is just not that realistic. 1.1%, that's a 10% increase. Let's say we get 10% increases on everything. So this goes to 22%. This goes to 22%. You're not gonna go to 88%. Let's just keep, I mean, you can increase this through extra strategy, but there's gonna be a lot of title issues. I'm gonna say we're gonna go to 85% because that's when we're operating smooth. That's where we're at. Now, granted, we can probably get higher, but that's where we're at. So I'm just gonna put it there. And let's say this number is able to increase by 10% as well to 22. So that's big deal size, right? It's a nice deal size. So let's take these numbers into account off of, again, not changing how much money we're spending and not changing our inputs. We're just making more out of what we have. So again, I erase this. Let's see what we can get out of 128K in ad spend. That's our input, that's our marketing. So we send 100K, and again, this is just like, relate this to outbound marketing for inputs. Because really, your input for a lot of things might be dollars spent if you're using an agency. So if you're using like a cold call center, someone like Call Magicians or whoever else, your input might be your expenses. If you're using, like we use TV ads, we use bullseye branding, our inputs are expenses. Need to sell my house fast, an SEO company, our inputs are expenses. Because that's what we can control. We can control how much money we put in, but we don't control any of the operational stuff that you see in the day-to-day marketing. So again, 100K, now we're at 1.1%. That's 1,100. 1,100, 22% of 1,100, 242. And if you remember correctly, we were at 200 last time. So we got 42 more. It's a lot. So now let's say what's 22% of 242. That equals 53.25, so we always round down, so 53. All right, now what's 85% of 53? Is 45. Now 45 times 22K, that is, dang, 990K. I'll like my little comma there. Smackaroonies. And again, remember, we went from 640. So again, what really matters is how much money you're making. Now, again, we're not spending anymore. So everything from this 640 to 990, not everything, because there's going to be more operational stuff. You're going to have more people, you're going to have more expenses. There's going to be a lot more expenses that come with this, right? But will it be 350,000 worth of expenses? No, will not be 350,000 worth of expenses. So this difference of 640 divided by 990. So this difference of 990 divided by 640 is 100. This is 54% more based on my calculator. I could have done it wrong, but I did 990 divided by 640 because this is the new number and this is our baseline of what we did. So again, I got 54% increase from moving everything up 10%. Now 10%, well, like moving these numbers up 10%. Realistically, they moved up literally 2%. So these numbers move up 2, 2, 5. But 10% increase across the board, again, that's getting significantly better. But who says you can't do that? If you get 1% better a month, that's 12% a year. Now there's gonna be a place where you cap out, right? But you do the math. If you get to these numbers, and again, the cool thing is, I'm not 100% sure about this number, no one really talks about it that much, but industry standard for this, again, from one of our mentors, he's at 28%. You do the math, there's a lot of improvement. Now, traditionally, if you do 25% on lead to appointment, appointment to contract, contract to deal, you're doing pretty solid. So that is that. But yeah, if you're able to increase these things and your revenue as well, then you can see the bottom line effects. It's gonna be pretty drastic, right? So that's why it's important to know and understand this funnel. So you're able to say, hey, I don't know, I like that number. I like the change, right? 300,000. It's nice. So anyways, this is how you use the manufacturing line. So implement that today in your business and get after it, man. Peace.